Hello and welcome to the first episode of IP Talk Brand Insights, a quarterly discussion where we dive into the intersection of brand strategy and intellectual property. IP Talk is sponsored by Virtual Patent Gateway and led by VPG principal and founder Ashley Cheung. Ashley has a passion for supporting the next generation in the workplace and is committed to developing a growth mindset within VPG. Ashley, take it away.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. This is our first season and first show. And we will have like a quarterly live chat. And McNeal Maddox, Sasha Strauss have been like some of my really favorite brand strategists and professionals. So I was like, ah. And Sasha is the founder and CEO of Innovation Protocol. Unfortunately, he's not here today, but we will also include him in some way. And what can I say about Katie? You know, she is just such a strong supporter. She was on Femtech Live Lounge. I had a great chat with her. And I think that was really amazing. And she co authored the book You Are an IP Company with Carrie. So I was like reading that book going to London and then realized that it's like, wow, this has so much relevance. First season, I must get Katie on. So here it is. IP is intellectual property, and I'm really glad, having this intersection of professional that I know because I've been in the IP field as a paralegal, as a case manager, and now as a founder of Virtual Patent Gateway for I don't know 25 plus years. So yes, started at age 3. And, and then, so I just really want to say today's overview is going to give us a synopsis of, what are IPs, and then also talk about specifically, I think, on patent, but mostly trademarks, and some of our day to day, runs in with like trademark and how we actually bring insight from IP attorney. This having said that, and then also a brand strategist. And having said that, I wanted to put in a legal disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only, and not as legal advice. So we want to really protect and having a safe space to talk about this particular wonderful topics. So before we actually get started, and I'll do the intro of our speaker, but we wanted to actually started with a Slido poll question to get engagement going.
Let's go ahead and get started. What song are these lyrics from? Don't tell your secrets to anyone because ideas are vulnerable. As soon as you say your idea out loud, then it can go and live on its own. And you will miss it oh so much, and you will wait for its return. These are the answers we have so far. Should we see
None of the above. Well, do you want to let people know what is the correct answer?
That would be bonne idée.
Yay. Okay, next.
What is the difference between trademark and copyright? Got one answer in.
We really do need to have this IP Talk brand insight.
See what the answer is?
Yep.
100% got it right. All right. Duolingo uses what fun element to encourage language learning? Oh, we've got 3 different answers. So let's see.
Oh.
Daily streaks. It was not tasty snacks. I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, that's 0%. At least we are all on the same page there. All right, next.
AI is all around us. Which below uses AI in some capacity? Oh, we've got 2 different answers.
Oh,
It's
thank
true.
you, Andy, for your participation.
AI is all around us.
Yes.
Love.
Sometimes we don't even know it.
All right. In 2022, Nike collaborated with which brand to launch an innovative activewear line? Let's see what people are answering. Oh, we've got a couple answers. The only one that is not specifically an activewear line. Last question. What does likelihood of confusion mean in trademark law? Oh, everyone answered the same thing. Let's see if it's right. 100%.
Good
We
answer.
got it right. That's all for our quiz.
All right, let's get the fun started. So you might wonder, who do we have here? Katie Rubino is a seasoned IP lawyer and pharmacist. She is a partner and director of the Life Sciences Practice Group at Caldwell. And she combines her expertise in legal writing, patent strategy, and corporate governance into driving innovation. With over 6 years or licensed patent attorney, she has advised clients on complex intellectual property matters and regulatory compliances. The list goes on. One of the things that, as I said earlier, she has co-authored a really interesting book with Carrie on You Are an IP Company. It really does put IP in a different context. It's available on Amazon. McNeal is an independent brand consultant and former group of director of brand strategy at Innovation Protocol, a LA-based brand strategy consultancy. He is now the principal of Genevelyn Consulting. And legends and stories have always intrigued him, but understanding the deeper meaning containing within them has driven McNeal's creative focus for years. He was a student at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he channeled his interest in creative storytelling and problem solving into a degree in graphic design. His desire to understand the why, Simon Sinek why, behind the marketing communications, and he created for ERP software and investment finance companies that led him back to college complete his MBA at the University of Southern California, USC, Marshall School of Business. Before we dive into the actual topic, can each one of our panelists share one fun fact about you? Let's start with Katie.
Okay. Oh, thanks for having me. One fun fact about me is probably when I was working as a pharmacist, one of the most interesting patients I ever had was a monkey that had diabetes. And so this monkey was part of a research study at a university, and diabetes was not being studied, but it had developed diabetes, so I had to find a way to get a drug delivered to the monkey to help with the diabetes so the monkey could stay in the research study. So that was a really kind of fun project.
Why a monkey?
Yeah, it's interesting. When you work in a compounding pharmacy, you end up doing a decent amount of work in the veterinary medicine space because animals a lot of times can't take or swallow pills. And so a lot of times they need a medication delivered into something that's more palatable flavor-wise to disguise and mask different properties of medications, or sometimes even transdermal delivery too. If they really, a lot of times the animal, if you try and, give a dog a drug, or cats, they're very smart and they know there's something that they're being given and they don't like it. So they really react poorly to that. So a lot of times the way you can get around that is to make it a cream or flavor it to really mask the taste. But sometimes the animals are very smart and they know that there's something else in their food too, and they'll just refuse to eat the food as well.
We definitely learn something new every day.
Yeah.
McNeal, fun fact about you.
I'm not sure how to follow monkeys with diabetes, but
yeah, that wasn't expected. We didn't even
that was
rehearse
totally
that
unexpected. Yeah, but I'll say fun fact about me. I actually have a profile on IMDb. Surprisingly, I was shocked to find it. Going all the way back to college days, there was one of my college roommates. We did a small student film for one of his student projects together. And somehow it actually got uploaded to the database and entered. And so all of our roommates are on IMDb as stars in his student film.
Caitlin, do you want to play the clip about Sasha?
Do you know that I'm sort of like a technology dork? These are partnership between Meta, Facebook, and Ray-Ban. These are basically classic shaped Ray-Ban glasses, but they have technology built into them. There are cameras, and I can take pictures, and I use the cameras constantly when I'm interacting with my kids in special moments, like let's say we're baking together or whatever. So as someone who's always taken a lot of pictures, having them at the ready has been so cool. I don't know how to say this, but like when I don't have these glasses, I feel incomplete, like I'm sort of missing out a prime tool for me.
That's awesome. Now that all four of us have been introduced to the show, we're going to cover 3 topics today. The first one is going to be an overview of what is IP, and Katie is going to help us with that. And McNeal, feel free to chime in, and I will chime in whatever that comes into my head. And then the second topic that we are going to talk about is brand basics, and we will use the Nike SKIM as sort of like a example, and then we can kind of chat about that. And then the last one is the impact of AI on IP and brand. Katie, do you want to give us an overview of what is IP?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a good question. So this comes up a lot, especially for growing companies, because a lot of times you're so busy growing your business that you don't even realize you've created IP. So there's a couple main types of intellectual property. Probably the one people are most familiar with is trademarks, and that is what protects any unique names or branding that you have. So if you look at a company like Nike, all of that Nike check mark that we all know and recognize, that's an example of a trademark. Their company name is trademarked, right? So it's all of their unique names for product lines too. And really you can protect the name, but also the look of the word mark too. So that would protect if you have unique design elements in your name and brand as well. And then we have copyrights. Now, copyrights are used most commonly to protect a lot of literary work. So books, music, song lyrics, really written works, websites, and those protect against really the way in which you're presenting this different kind of material. And so that helps guard against things like plagiarism and people kind of just ripping off your creative works. And then we have patents, and patents really protect innovations, meaning any kind of, could be anything ranging from software, right? Things we use all the day on computers, all the way up to drugs, drug products. And really the main criteria in order to get a patent is that you need to have something that's new and that isn't obvious based on what other people have created. And then the other kind of form of IP that goes hand in hand with patents would be what we call trade secrets. And this would be all of your company's know-how, all of your unique processes, methodologies. And a lot of times those trade secrets can turn into patents, but it's more a question of, with patents, everything will become public. So it's a question of, is this something we want to put out there for the world to know, or is this something we want to kind of keep closer to the vest here?
Just like the song that the lyrics of the song that we actually had in our first question on Slido.
That's right.
McNeal, do you have any, thoughts, comments before I ask Katie some questions?
Well, and I'll say my experience really is focused a lot on trademarks, because when folks work with brand strategists, a lot of the focus is to actually create something that can become a trademarked asset. And of course, not being a lawyer myself, the thing we always, the one caveat we always add to anything that we create or any intellectual property that we might create for someone is get a good lawyer. and make sure that you can get this trademark. Anyone can create a name. The hard part is to own it, right? So owning it and understanding what's available. There's a process to it, and a lot of people don't understand that. So that's why I'm excited to be here with Katie too, because I'm hoping I can learn a little bit more and get some knowledge by osmosis from both of you. So, but just that process of making sure that something that's trademarked can be protected, not just here in the United States as well. Sometimes there are international trademarks that need to be taken into account too, which complicates things. So it's really important for people to understand, if you are building a brand or trying to create something that you can use in commerce internationally, to make sure you've done your due diligence and have the right protections for it.
And then one thing that's really important is that I believe that trademark is first use. So you have definitely consult with a professional before you start like posting it on internet and trying to basically, before you get like, if you haven't done your due diligence, then you will probably get something called cease and desist if it becomes people's awareness that you are using things that are likely to confuse them with their brand. So I think that is one thing that is really interesting. And I wanted to give a real life example that when I first started VPG, the virtual patent gateway, the naming itself, because trademark you could do like service as well, is one of the classification. And then so when I first started, I checked on like maybe getting an attorney. I know enough attorneys, but I do want to hire someone to basically look into like filing. I'll tell you the story that when I first started, I talked to a friend because I've been in IP for a long time, mostly, actually almost exclusively on patent. So I know how to do my own due diligence, and I didn't have to like sue myself for unauthorized practice of law because I know how to do all of this stuff and I can figure out how to do the filing. So what I have done initially is that I done all the due diligence and then I filed the application. Strategy that I used was like, if I get a first office action, then I hire an attorney. So Katie had to go off a little bit because there's something that need to be done, and she will come back on. So McNeal and I will just chat about this until she come back on. So that was a perfect strategy because it saved me like thousands of dollars before I had to. For a startup, that thousands of dollars is so important. And I know exactly how to navigate the system enough that if I get a office action, then I hire an attorney. So I did after that. I did have an office action is basically, and the examiners at the USPTO are super, super helpful. And I was able to talk to them and see exactly where it went wrong. And then I got guidance and I was able to, now I have a trademark attorney that I do work with on different things. And he'll like, you need to do X, Y, Z. And sometimes I will say, no. And then tell me what are the benefits of doing this because I need to weigh the cost effectiveness. For a small startup, I think this is one of the reasons why I wanted to put this on, because large corporations, they have counsel, startup content creator, startup entrepreneurs. I think these are very important conversation that we need to have. So that's why I created to have IP Talk Brand Insights and give it an intersection between IP attorneys, IP professionals, and brand strategists, because they kind of go hand in hand, and it's actually becoming much more prevalent.
And just out of curiosity, Ashley, you're saying obviously you know this stuff, right? For someone who might not, if it's brand new to them or they just aren't as clear on it. I know you mentioned the examiners being really helpful, and I found the same thing. Just even a lot of the information that's out there, that there's lots of information about how someone, before they even consult an attorney, can do a lot of the due diligence themselves. And I know we just recently, just speaking only on trademarks, but the USPTO's trademark database online has been redesigned to be a lot more user-friendly, where people don't have to be experts in this. They can get coached through it and actually find and search for trademarks themselves. And would you encourage that kind of thing before someone comes to an attorney, right? To do a little bit of footwork and put in a little bit of effort just to understand in their own class, trademark classes, or whatever category they're in, that they would be able to actually be more effective once they engage an attorney?
I think that's part of the due diligence. you could also always do all your fact finding. USPTO.gov is actually a very good resource to go into, especially trying to figure out if there's another mark that is similar to what you have. One of the things that we were talking about earlier is that you don't think about stuff until it comes into your peripheral vision. What is that concept called?
It's the frequency illusion.
But yes, check with USPTO. There's also a lot of tutorial these days. Brand strategy. You could just Google and on YouTube. There's plenty of tutorial. The one word of caution is be careful about just trusting your resources. Check your resources and make sure that it's credible first. I think that is something that I would caution for that. Now we're going to talk about brand basics, and this is your thing. So we pick Nike SKIMS as our sort of like example. Do you want to kind of talk about what your observations are for this brand basics, and maybe we could have like 5 minutes or so to talk about that?
Sure. I mean, just as a brand strategist looking at that kind of joint venture, it's obviously really noteworthy because it's a established brand that has reached, an echelon in branding that everyone wants to get to, right? When you're just everyone knows your mark, everyone knows, your taglines with Nike. And then you have a personality like Kim Kardashian who creates a brand like SKIMS, and she's created many brands. SKIMS being such just a meteoric rise. When you think about adoption, of course, anything that Kim Kardashian does, it's going to get some traction. But SKIMS has really done better than most of the brands that she's come up with, and it's growing. And you can tell by that kind of partnership, by being able to partner with a brand like Nike, that there's a synergy there that works for both, right? So you have this powerhouse influencer with a growing brand and a powerhouse brand coming together, but it's aligned at a very fundamental level. I'm not sure if you know Nike's vision statement. Are you familiar?
No. Go ahead and share.
So Nike, their vision is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And they put a little asterisk over the word athlete. And basically, there's a footnote there. And it's, if you have a body, you're an athlete, right? That's their vision. That's part of what Nike's ethos is all about. And that fits so well with a brand like SKIMS, which is a much more inclusive brand. Shapewear, it started as like shapewear and of course is expanding now. But being more inclusive, getting more people into athletic wear, it fits perfectly. If you have a body, you're an athlete. SKIMS is all about body confidence and making people more comfortable when it comes to wearing shapewear, just being more comfortable with their body. So the two of those coming together, I think, is a really powerful interplay where the synergy just makes sense.
That, I actually listened to a podcast that talked about the inspiration and innovation from, I think, one of the Nike executives. As a brand strategist, do you think that this type of collaboration is going to be setting a trend for other brands?
It's very possible. I think when you have a brand like Nike where there are questions around relevance, right? As a brand, you really want to be relevant, or you keep your brand relevant. But you think there's so much competition now, and especially having the athletic wear market be so fragmented, right? When you think Nike and everything that they've stretched themselves across to attach yourself to someone who's very relevant, but with a purpose, a real defined purpose behind the SKIMS brand. Nike's able to leverage that. And I think other brands can learn from that as well when you're actually using, if you might have gone stale or maybe you just don't seem as relevant as a brand, that you actually are able to align yourself, look back again at that fundamental vision, align yourself with the purpose, and more importantly, connect yourself to a brand or a product or intellectual property that actually helps you communicate that purpose in a new way so that you can have that relevance. So yeah, I think it's something that other brands can definitely learn from.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to kind of like, during our prep, we've talked about like, even when we are creating and generating brand ideas and strategy, what actually constitutes originality anyway? When you have either aware or not aware that some elements of AI have been included in the things that you use. So what actually becomes original and who owns the right of the trademark? In the interest of time, we're going to move on to our thoughts on the impact of AI on IP, and let's talk about branding. based on your experience and your observation, what are some of the impact of AI that you've seen on brand strategy?
Yeah, it's a lot of generative AI. A lot of what we see now is generative AI. It gets a lot of attention. But even with some of the customer service bots that you see that have been trained on how to use a brand voice effectively, and they never get tired. They'll be infinitely patient with you, and you've trained them how to actually deliver a brand experience, right? So I think that idea that all the way from advertising through to customer service, that AI can actually augment a brand experience and actually help it stay consistent, right? So that you're not introducing anything that, well, the human element is always variable, but controlling it a bit, right? Letting AI take on some of the simpler tasks that can be automated, branded, for more consistency. So then if there's a need to hand off to a human or someone, then it becomes a little bit more efficient for businesses. So helping the company, but then also making sure that at every, we call them touch points in branding, wherever a customer or user comes into contact with your brand, whatever that experience might be. Again, whether it's a TV ad or a complaint, using the website to file a complaint, right? AI is helping along the way to make sure that that brand experience stays the same. Again, going back to we were talking a bit before about Nike's vision, right? Making that vision come to life for people. AI is playing a big role in it. Now, when it comes to ownership and originality, your original question, that's where things get a little bit gray. And I know Katie can speak to that, but it's an evolving area because, again, the litigation and just the laws and policies are still trying to catch up with the technology that's evolving so fast.
Yeah, totally. I think that, a lot of times, because I work with a lot of visual artists, and there's, in the old days, because I still use a lot of illustrators because I wanted to support them. That's one of the mission of VPG. And some goes as young as 17, and then working with an illustrator on my next book. So it has been really interesting. I'm much more sensitive when people are using Midjourney.
Yes.
Some of the program, because it is what it is. People are going to use it. It's a commercial product, and then so I think that is really important to be able to balance the interests of different stakeholders when we use it. So I thought that that's sort of my thought on AI. It is inevitable. Everyone's going to be use it in whether they know it or not. I think that we just have to be acting responsibly when we do that.
If I could just add one
Yes.
thing there, when you say use it responsibly, I think as a generative AI, as a partner, right, it becomes really effective at actually creating concepts, rapidly creating concepts and coming up with creative ideas, fleshing them out. But part of the responsible use is making sure that the artist's hand is actually present there, right? If you're generating something, that you're the final say, that you start with a concept, but you don't take that concept and just slap it up on an advertisement somewhere, or put it into use. People have to really have some influence over the final product to make it really worthwhile and somewhat protectable.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's inevitable. This is a trend. We just have to adapt. A lot of it is, it's a process. There will be trial and errors. And I think people just need to be patient and also be considerate about the stakeholders. That's like one of the things that I'm really, really big on. And I could totally use Gen AI to do a lot of illustration. It would save me so much money. But that also conflicts with my own values and mission of supporting the young generation. So
Yes.
there are things that I will use AI, but it will never be the final product. Oh, hi, Katie again.
Hi.
Well, we have 5 minutes remaining. We talked a little bit about impact on AI, but we also want you to maybe pick your brain on the trademark originality and who owns the rights.
Yeah, that's a good question because that comes up quite a bit. And I'd say the thing to remember there is, especially with trademarks, who is using it first, right? And so that's where really being proactive, using it first, showing you're using it, and filing your trademark application sooner rather than later is a good thing. Is kind of the exact antithesis of patents, where you want to kind of protect the innovation first before you put it out there. But with trademarks, it's a little bit different, where the government, in order for you to be granted the trademark, you need to be able to demonstrate you're using it. That's where being able to date back as soon as possible, it's better for you.
And in terms of AI and overall our programming, I'm going to put both of you on the spot a little bit. So let's start with McNeal. What are your thoughts about what we've talked about today?
I think Katie's dead on in terms of first use. Always encouraging people, if there's some way that you can create a record that's a third-party record of your use of something, it's a great thing to have to be able to protect it, but also always making sure, like we said earlier, that you're consulting with an expert, someone who actually understands trademark law, if you really do want to protect whatever you create, and especially if it's something that is unique or something that could be valuable in the course of business.
Due diligence is so important, especially in like the IP field, and otherwise, if you don't do that, you may be surprised by a cease and desist or a litigation. We don't want to do that. Katie, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think you always want to be thinking about how is your IP really in alignment with your business and your business strategies and goals, and how can both of those two things really come together to position you for success. Thinking ahead and down the road of what do you want to go achieve as a business, right? Are you looking to get acquired? Are you looking to just grow and add value? Are you looking to buy somebody else? But always kind of figuring out where that North Star is and then aligning your intellectual property strategy with that. It will really help set you up for success for some sort of monetization event down the road too. And I think that sometimes people, they think, oh, I need to file a patent because it's a good idea, but it goes a lot deeper than that, and really digging in to figure out, well, is this an invention that once it gets out there, a lot of other people are going to practice, and that's why? Or is it something that we want to be able to protect to go sell it to a bigger company, but kind of always trying to figure that out from the beginning? I think that's always a good idea when you're thinking about your IP filings.
Now, in your co-author book, one of the things that really stuck to mind is about what you said on Taylor Swift. So let's close this with about Taylor Swift IP strategy. Do you want to share with us what did you say on that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, because this is something, when people think about Taylor Swift, they don't really think she's an IP protector. But what's interesting is Taylor Swift alone has over 200 trademark filings, and these protect her name, but her tour names, her album names, there's a lot of depth to the level of protection she's gone through. And it's something unique to think about, because when you think about any famous singer or writer, you don't necessarily think about IP protection, but she's someone who's really taken a very much forward-leaning approach to protect her trademarks so that she can ultimately really control how those different tour names and album names are used very intentionally as she's out there marketing these things as well.
Well, with that, I want to thank both Katie and McNeal, and Sasha too, and also my Caitlin, who has been running the show here behind the scene and making sure that everything is successful for our season 1 first episode. And with that, we're going to close the show for today. The next one is going to be a closed event, and it's not going to be on live LinkedIn, but we have one of the senior IP advisors from Sephora who will be joining. So we will make sure that we send out the information. But I just want to say thank you. I hope you had a great experience.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.